Seeds among the stars? Desmond Fletcher squinted at the smoking crater marring his wheat field. Dawn painted Montana's Bitterroot Valley in gold. But the object gleaming at the center of the destruction reflected blue-green iridescence, unlike anything earthly. He approached cautiously, shotgun loose in his calloused hands, more from habit than intention. The pod hissed open. Inside lay a slender humanoid figure, with skin the color of opals, faint luminescent patterns pulsing beneath. Unconscious, but alive. "Well, I'll be damned," Desmond whispered. By afternoon, 3 government vehicles had come and gone. The men in suits explained with cold efficiency that under the Extraterrestrial Salvage Act of 2031, any non-hostile alien entities were classified as property if found on private land. They left paperwork declaring the being legally his. "Like livestock." "Ain't right," Desmond muttered to his border collie. "Rusty? Nobody should own nobody." When the alien awoke in his spare bedroom, her first reaction was to cower. Her eyes, multifaceted like dragonfly wings, darted around the room. "It's all right," Desmond said softly. "Nobody's going to hurt you here." She spoke, a melodic series of clicks and hums. From her pack, she withdrew a small device, touched it, and tried again. "Sanctuary." The translation was mechanical but understandable. "Yeah, I reckon that's what this is now." Desmond nodded. "I'm Desmond. This here's my farm. I am Neva." She touched her chest, the patterns beneath her skin pulsing brighter. "Scientist of Celian 6th Colony." Over simple food which she examined with fascination before tasting Neva. Explained through her translator that she had been exiled for refusing to weaponize her agricultural research. The luminescence beneath her skin, she demonstrated by dimming and brightening it, was how her people communicated emotion. "Government men say, 'You're my property now,'" Desmond said finally. "That paper there says I own you." Neva's light patterns darkened to deep indigo. "This is ... expected. Primitives often enslave what they do not understand." Desmond laughed, surprising her. "Well, I may be primitive, but I ain't no slaver. That paper's just to keep them off our backs." Her pattern shifted to a questioning blue-green. "You're a person," he continued, "not a thing. You can stay as long as you need, help out if you want, or leave when you're ready. Why would you assist an exile?" Her translator couldn't capture the wonder in her luminescence. Desmond shrugged. "My grandpa hid Japanese families during internment. My mama took in refugees from the water wars. Fletchers don't turn away folks needing sanctuary." The next morning, Desmond found Neva in the greenhouse, her hands hovering over his struggling tomato plants. The soil glowed faintly where she touched it. "Soil microbiology imbalanced," she explained. "I am helping." By sunset, the plant stood twice as tall. "I was agricultural bioengineer," she said proudly, "before military wanted weapons instead of food." Desmond watched her luminescence shift to warm gold in the fading light. "Reckon we might have things to teach each other." That night, from his porch, Desmond watched her staring at the stars, patterns flowing across her skin like northern lights. Something protective stirred within him, something he hadn't felt since losing his wife to cancer 3 years ago. Inside, on his tablet, he researched alien refugee rights while Neva cataloged Earth soil samples. 2 strangers from different worlds, separated by light years in biology, yet somehow finding common ground in the simple act of growing things. Outside, in the Montana sky, a satellite tracked the pod's landing coordinates, sending data to interested parties on both Earth and beyond. Growing roots 3 months passed, like a summer breeze. October painted the mountains in fiery colors that fascinated Neva. Her command of English improved daily. Though she still relied on her translator for complex conversations, the luminescent patterns beneath her skin had become a language. Desmond was learning to read bright copper for excitement, deep purple for contemplation, soft rose for contentment. "Your autumn reminds me of Celian harvest festivals," she told him as they mended fencing on the property's north side, "though our foliage shifts to blue, not your remarkable oranges." Desmond smiled. Since Neva's arrival, the farm had flourished beyond explanation. Crops grew hardier, livestock healthier. Her soil adjustments, as she called them, had doubled his yield. Different worlds, same cycles, he replied. Growing, harvesting, resting. The crack of a rifle shot interrupted their conversation. Franklin Weber, Desmond's nearest neighbor, was hunting on the ridge again closer to the property line than comfort allowed. Still don't understand why you keep that foreign girl around, Franklin had commented at the general store last week. Eyes narrowed with suspicion. Something ain't right about her. Eva's patterns flashed anxious yellow. She'd become conscious of hiding her more alien features when others might see. Pay him no mind, Desmond assured her. Some folks fear what's different. That evening, dark clouds rolled in unexpectedly. Desmond paced the porch, watching the barometer drop alarmingly. Storm's going to be bad. We should check the livestock. They raced to the barn as the first drops fell. By the time they secured the animals, the storm had become a deluge. Lightning struck a nearby tree, sending it crashing toward the pen where Desmond's prize bull stood. Without hesitation, Neva thrust out her hands. The falling tree slowed, hovering momentarily before settling gently aside. You never mentioned telekinesis, Desmond gasped. Minor gravitational manipulation, she corrected, swaying with exhaustion. Not used since Exile, he caught her as she stumbled. Let's get you inside. Later, wrapped in blankets before the fireplace, her patterns gradually shifted from exhausted gray to a warm pink he'd never seen before. Thank you for not fearing my abilities, she said softly. Reckon I'm more grateful than afraid, he replied. Suddenly aware of their proximity, her hand tentatively reached for his. 5 slender fingers with their subtle iridescence meeting his weathered tan ones. The contact sent unexpected warmth through him. Kalia, touch, is intimate, she explained, patterns deepening to magenta, reserved for family and bondmates. Desmond nearly pulled away until he realized she wasn't withdrawing. I've been alone a long while, he admitted. Since Julia passed. As have I, Neva whispered. Exile is ... solitude. The firelight reflected in her multifaceted eyes as she leaned closer. Before anything more could happen, Rusty barked a warning. Headlights swept the driveway. Expecting anyone? She asked, immediately alert. No. Desmond reached for his shotgun. Best you stay out of sight. Franklin's truck idled outside, the man himself leaning drunkenly against the hood. Saw the lightning hit from my place. Thought I'd check on you, he called, though his eyes searched beyond Desmond for something else. Appreciate it, but we're fine. Franklin nodded, reluctantly returning to his truck. Before leaving, he called back, Weird lights in your field last night. Government's been asking questions in town. After he left, Neva's patterns had dimmed to worried blue. They will come for me eventually, she said. My people or yours. Desmond took her hand again, surprising himself with the protective surge he felt. This is your home now if you want it. Her patterns flashed a brilliant rose gold. He would remember for years to come. Unexpected blooms 6 months into their unlikely cohabitation, spring returned to the Bitterroot Valley. Neva moved through Desmond's their garden with practiced ease, her fingers coaxing growth from earth plants now crossbred with Celian techniques. Vibrant vegetables and fruits impossible before her arrival thrived under her care. The molecular structure is fascinating, she explained, her translator now rarely needed. Your plants adapt to beneficial foreign microbiomes more readily than ours. Desmond watched her work, admiring more than her agricultural expertise. The morning light caught the subtle shimmer of her skin, patterns flowing in the content rose hue that had become increasingly common in his presence. We should take some to the farmer's market, he suggested. People are curious about our organic growing methods. Neva hesitated. Though she now wore hats and scarves in public to hide her more alien features, she remained cautious around strangers. Their story that she was a foreign agricultural expert working with Desmond satisfied most locals, but not all. Perhaps she agreed finally. I enjoy meeting those who appreciate growing things. That evening, a spring thunderstorm cut power to the farm. In the sudden darkness, Neva's bioluminescence cast the room in gentle blue light. Desmond found himself mesmerized by the patterns dancing across her skin. "You're beautiful," he said without thinking. Her luminescence shifted to deep magenta. On Kalia, saying such things as a declaration. "Maybe it is here too," Desmond replied, surprising himself with his boldness. When she moved closer, her light pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. Their first kiss was hesitant, Talian, and human navigating unfamiliar territory. Her lips felt cool against his, the taste faintly like mountain honey. "I never expected Earth," she whispered against his mouth. "Or you." Their embrace deepened, her luminescence brightening until the room glowed with their shared emotion, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Later, wrapped in quilts on the porch swing, they watched stars emerge after the storm. Neva pointed to a distant cluster. "My home system. 3 standard jumps from your solar boundary. Do you miss it?" Desmond asked, suddenly afraid of her answer. Might miss what it was, not what it became. Her fingers traced patterns on his arm. "Here I found purpose again. And connection." The moment was interrupted by approaching headlights. Neva quickly dimmed her luminescence as a black government vehicle pulled into the driveway. A woman in a charcoal suit emerged. "Desmond Fletcher. Agent Octavia Reed, Bureau of Extraterrestrial Affairs. We've received reports of unusual agricultural activity." Desmond positioned himself between Neva and the agent. "Just good farming." Agent Reed's eyes lingered on Neva. "Your assistant, I presume?" "Colleague," Desmond corrected. "Neva Cordy, agricultural specialist." Reed handed him her card. "The Bureau has interest in advanced growing techniques. We'd appreciate a formal interview." After she left, Neva's patterns had shifted to anxious yellow. "She knows, but she didn't say anything," Desmond noted. "Why?" Before they could speculate further, Neva's small communication device, since her arrival, began to pulse with light. Her patterns flashed alarmed indigo. "What is it?" Desmond asked. "A tracking beacon," she whispered. "My people. They've found me." That night, held close in Desmond's arms, Neva made her choice. Whatever comes, she promised, her luminescence painting his bedroom in the deep crimson of Celian devotion. "My place is with you now," his calloused hand against her. Luminescent skin sealed a promise between worlds, one that neither had imagined possible when a smoking pod crashed into a Montana wheat field. Part 4. Whether the storm. Celian scout ship arrived on a Tuesday, hovering silently above Desmond's farm like a metallic thundercloud. Its surface rippled with the same iridescence as Neva's skin, though cold and artificial by comparison. "How many?" Desmond asked, loading his shotgun more from habit than any belief it would help. 3, perhaps 4, Neva replied, her patterns cycling through anxious yellows and resolute blues. "A standard retrieval team." She touched the small pendant at her neck to communication device, now transmitting her location.
Ow.
"You could destroy it," Desmond suggested. "They would still find me," she answered, "but then as a fugitive, not an exile." When the ship landed in the same field where Neva's pod had crashed nearly a year before, Desmond stood firmly at her side. 3 tall Celians emerged, their skin patterns synchronized in the formal indigo of authority. "Subject Nevanine. Exiled for sedition against the 6th colony," announced the leader. Translator device converting his harmonic speech to flat English. "Your sentence is reviewed. Return is mandated." "This is my home now," Neva replied, her hand finding Desmond's. "They claim sanctuary under Earth's sentient rights accord. Sanctuary not recognized." "The human holds your property certificate." Desmond stepped forward. "That paper doesn't mean a damn thing. Neva stays if she wants to stay." The lead Celian's patterns flashed dismissive orange. "Human affairs are irrelevant. Our directives supersede." Before they could advance, a black government vehicle roared up the driveway. Agent Octavia Reed emerged, weapon drawn. "Federal agent. This is an unauthorized landing zone." What followed was Chaos Aliens advancing, Octavia shouting into her radio, Desmond pulling Neva toward his truck. "We need to go now." They escaped during the confrontation, driving recklessly into the mountains, where Desmond knew hidden fire roads and hunters' cabins. By nightfall, They reached a remote shelter where his grandfather had once hidden from debt collectors. "They won't find us here," he promised. Building a small fire, under blankets before the flames, their embrace carried new urgency. Every touch, every kiss, felt like it might be their last. Neva's luminescence painted the cabin walls with deep crimson passion as their bodies joined. Human and alien finding perfect harmony, despite their differences. "I never expected this," she whispered against his neck, her patterns pulsing in time with their movements. "To find home in an exile." "Home isn't a place," Desmond replied, holding her close as they moved together. "It's where you belong." Later, watching stars through the cabin's small window, Neva's communicator chimed with an unexpected message. "Agent Reed," she said, surprised. "She's helping us." The message was clear. The Bureau had declared jurisdiction over the Cillian National as an asylum case. The Cillian ship had withdrawn to orbit pending diplomatic resolution. Why would she help? Desmond wondered. "Perhaps not everyone fears difference," Neva suggested. Dawn brought another message. The Cillians demanded Neva return temporarily to provide testimony against high-ranking officials. In exchange, her exile would be formally rescinded, allowing legal return to Earth. "It's a trap," Desmond insisted. Perhaps Neva agreed, her patterns thoughtful. "But what if it's not? What if I could return legally, openly? We could stop hiding." He took her luminescent hands in his weathered ones. "You've got proof they were weaponizing your research?" "Enough to challenge them, yes?" Desmond pressed his forehead to hers. "I just found you. I can't lose you." Her patterns shifted to determined gold. "You won't lose me. I'll come back, and I'm coming with you," he declared. Neva's patterns flashed surprised magenta. "Humans have never visited Cillian ships." "First time for everything," Desmond replied, his jaw set with stubborn resolve. Partners stand together. Its morning light filtered through pine branches. They made their plan not as alien and human, exile and farmer, but as equals facing an uncertain future with the one certainty that they would face it together. "Agent," Reed's final message confirmed what they hoped. Safe passage guaranteed for both. With Earth authorities monitoring the exchange beneath the Montana sky, they sealed their promise with a kiss that bridged worlds. Harvest home 2 years after Neva's escape pod crashed into Desmond's wheat field. The once ordinary Montana farm had transformed. Solar panels with iridescent Cillian efficiency modifications powered expanded greenhouses. Fields bore earth crops, enhanced with alien microbiology. And at the property's edge, a small diplomatic outpost marked Earth's first permanent cultural exchange with the Cillian 6th colony. The Terran Cillian Agricultural Initiative reports 30% yield increases in drought-affected regions. Neva read from her tablet, luminescence patterns shifting to pleased gold. She sat beside Desmond on their porch swing, her head resting comfortably on his shoulder. "Not bad for an exiled scientist and a stubborn farmer," Desmond replied. Kissing her temple, their confrontation with the Cillian authorities had ended more favorably than either dared hope. Neva's evidence of corruption had triggered reform within the colony leadership. In the diplomatic reshuffling that followed, she had been appointed cultural ambassador to Earth, the first such position in Cillian history. Agent Octavia Reed now, Director of Extraterrestrial Affairs for the Northwestern region, had championed their cause. Recognizing the potential benefits of peaceful exchange over the initial salvage classification, Franklin stopping by with that soil sample, Desmond mentioned. The one suspicious neighbor had become their strongest local advocate after. Neva's enhanced crops saved his farm during last summer's drought. The mineral composition should be compatible, Neva confirmed, her English now flawless, though still musically accented inside their home. Photographs told the story of their unlikely journey. Desmond, in formal attire at a Washington diplomatic reception. Neva receiving agricultural honors from both human and Cillian officials. The two of them breaking ground on the exchange center while news cameras rolled. Most precious was the small official document declaring their union recognized under both. Earth and Cillian Lothar, first cross-species marriage formally acknowledged by both governments. The medical team confirmed compatibility, Neva said softly. her patterns shifting to the deep crimson that Desmond now recognized as her most intimate expression. The genetic modifications are proceeding well. Desmond placed his hand gently over her abdomen, where their impossible child grew, a fusion of two worlds, made possible by Celian medical technology and Neva's scientific brilliance. Boy or girl? He asked, a question he'd refrained from asking during the delicate early stages. Neva's luminescence flickered with amusement. Neither and both, by your binary standards. But the human characteristics are dominant in appearance. Only subtle luminescence patterns beneath the skin. Perfect, Desmond whispered, as evening fell. They watched more ships arrive, not invaders or pursuers, but students, scientists, and cultural attaches from both worlds. The farm had become a sanctuary not just for one exile, but for all who sought understanding across the vast gulf of space. In their bedroom that night, Neva's luminescence painted familiar patterns across Desmond's skin as they moved together in the dance they had. Perfected two bodies from different worlds, finding harmony in each other's arms. Did you ever imagine this? She asked afterward, her patterns pulsing with contentment. When you found me that morning? Not in a million years, he admitted. I just knew I couldn't let them treat you like property. You gave me sanctuary, she murmured, and I gave you stars. Outside, the lights of Earth vessels and Celian ships traced patterns in the night. Sky above Montana, new constellation born of courage, compassion, and the unexpected love between an exiled alien and the human farmer who had seen her not as property, but as family. And in the quiet dark of their room, two heartbeats, one steady, one slightly faster, synchronized their rhythm, while a third, tiny pulse began its journey between worlds.